Direct Healing by Paul Ellsworth. Chapter 6, The Law of Rhythm in Growth. A very common experience in spiritual healing might be described something in this way. A sufferer from physical or mental ills, usually of long standing, glimpses the truth in regard to his or her real identity as a child of God, and in an ecstasy of thanksgiving opens mind and body to receive the healing vibrations of the Spirit. A wonderful transformation seems to have come about. There is a new joy in life, a new vibrant health in the body. For a while, the former invalid is transformed and looks upon the old ways of living and the old physical and mental shortcomings as evil dreams that have passed, never to return. Then there comes a terrible moment when all this newfound joy and peace is gone, and the old things seem to have returned, perhaps in greater force than formerly. Perhaps this relapse lasts but a short time, and again the way of regeneration is found and followed. Very often, however, the sufferer becomes discouraged, returns to drugs and dependence upon physical methods, and henceforth thinks bitterly of the deception of new thought. Why should these times of bitter discouragement come? Why should not the growth toward the perfect health and mastery of the Spirit be rapid and unwavering? There are many reasons, and some of these are so commonly met with that they are worth considering. One of the principal causes of discouragement lies in what may be called the law of swings or rhythmic growth. This law prevails throughout nature. Men are born, grow to maturity, pass into the afternoon of life, and finally quit the world not by direct and invaried progression, but rather by a sort of undulating advance. In the spiritual life, this phenomenon of quickening and diminishing vitality and inspiration is always met with. We advance splendidly only to slip and lose ground, but the crest of every peak is higher than the one before it, or maybe if we recognize the law and work with it. So when you have made a big gain spiritually or physically, and then seem to have lost it all, you must learn to look upon this time of negative energy as a resting point, preparing you for a greater gain in the future. Darling sins, moral spots and taints which have fastened themselves deep down in the very matrix of our souls, I have already spoken of. But as in these sheltered and protected soul cankers lies the root of much of the disappointment and failure met with in spiritual healing, it will not come amiss to call attention to them again. If you are having trouble, look for the cause of it, not the physical cause, for the physical is not the realm of cause, but of effect. Perhaps you are clinging to what you call your rights. You must learn that when you have made a covenant with God to live by the Spirit, you have no personal rights. All is yours that comes easily and naturally to you, and all will come that you can possibly use. But you must leave to the all-wisdom the task of choosing the details. No man can take from you what is yours, in honor or property or in any other respect. No man but yourself. You can easily keep the good you desire out of your life by surrounding yourself with an atmosphere of tense distrust, which you probably think applies only to your fellow men, but which in reality applies first and always to the infinite Spirit. At the very beginning of any new life that is to be vital and satisfactory, you will have to get rid of the old burden of personal rights. Make a covenant with God to do the work that comes to you for doing, to do it as thoroughly and joyously as you can do it, and to send it freely out into the world without stipulation or condition. Say, "Dear Father, I am going to do my work, the work thou givest me to do, as perfectly as thy infinite wisdom and love and power working through me can do it. I am going to be serene and gentle. I know that thou art my providence in life and estate, and I accept the wondrous riches of thy love as they come to me day by day. Make this covenant with God so definite and positive that there shall be no room for hedging, trying afterward to reserve this and that little cause of grievance with your fellow men. If you are living by the Spirit, there is no such thing as chance or accident in your life. All comes to you that you need when you need it. And when anything goes, it is because, for the time at least, its usefulness to you has passed. And you must live either by the Spirit or by the flesh, must live either in the kingdom or in the world, where you shall surely have tribulation. The only way to get away from tribulation is to give up personal rights and accept the rights that are yours as a child of God. So, if you are having repeated failures in your efforts to come into regeneration, be sure that you are not holding on to something, condemnation, or envy, or impatience, or fear, or sensualism, which is incompatible with the greater life. Through your service either to God or to man, you ally yourself with a corresponding order of experience. Distantly related to this hindrance is that of two-mindedness. The trouble with the man whose darling sin holds him back is that there is some one definite thing which he so desires that he is unwilling to give it up. The double-minded man, on the other hand, has never taken the trouble to put definitely before himself the essential differences between spiritual living and living by the laws of the flesh. He wants something better than the usual experiences of life, but he hasn't yet reached the point where he can say, "Get thee behind me, Satan," to a score of the empty pleasures of carnal living. A definite and heart-to-heart talk with himself is what he needs. He must consider the matter honestly and choose the kind of life for which he really is willing to pay the price. An entirely different hindrance is the fear of sacrilege. How can I say that I and my Father are one, some ask. I am so imperfect, so prone to sins of ignorance and intention. I am not sinning against the Holy Ghost to claim identity with God. This trouble arises in good part from a misunderstanding of the teachings of Christ. He continually spoke after the spirit of wisdom was fully quickened within him in the impersonal sense. I am the resurrection and the life, he said, and much more to the same effect. But the I he referred to was not the personal Jesus of Nazareth, but the Christ man, latent even in the thief on the cross. And in that sense you may say all that he said. Within you too is the Christ man, who truly says that all that the Father hath is mine, and I and my Father are one in purpose and in power. For the Christ man is a full and perfect expression in one place of all that the Father is throughout the universe. It is simply a matter of where you desire to put the emphasis. You are spirit, which includes life, body, higher consciousness, subconsciousness, all of you. But if you desire to say, I am a physical man possessing 5 senses and an intellect generated by my brain power, you can limit your expression to this part of yourself. Sacrilege, however, lies in this limitation of your divine nature, rather than in claiming your birthright through allying yourself with God. Never believe that anything is too good or too big to be true. Only limitation is untrue. Fear is merely faith turned wrong side out, and like faith, it has attractive power. You have probably read of many cases where fear of disease produced symptoms of that very disease. And why should it not? When you fear anything, you are merely using your creative power backward. And if the fear is one of those which grips you and stays with you until it has become an obsession, it will surely produce disastrous results. The same fire with which you warm your house and cook your dinner will consume the house and your body too if you use it in the wrong way. Fear is the misuse of faith. Cancer and hydrophobia are only two of the myriads of diseases which are produced often solely by the corrosive action of fear. The cure I have already suggested. Perfect love casts out fear. To realize your unity with infinite love and wisdom and power, to realize that you are indeed one with the Father, is to lose fear of all things and conditions. And as a help toward realizing this essential unity, it is often advisable to drop all thought of healing for the time. Concentrate your consciousness and desire on the expression of the great fundamentals, love and purity and wisdom and unselfish mastery, and such little things as physical health will attend to themselves. You will gradually come to see that physical health is a little thing, that it is a result capable of coming swiftly into existence when the foundation of it has been built in the cause or spiritual realm. So drop your striving after health and wealth for a while, and learn to be quietly serene and to give the creative and regenerative spirit a free channel through you, so you will come by a seemingly indirect route to the realization of that which you desire. Argument is another menace to spiritual growth. Many an earnest beginner in truth has started out to convert a sneering friend, only to be himself discomfited and perhaps filled with doubts. Spiritual things are spiritually discerned, and it is impossible to preach the doctrine of non-resistance and love to a hard-headed businessman who proclaims his doctrine to be, "Do the other fellow or he'll do you." Now, this does not mean that you must be hypocritical or untrue to your principles, but it does mean that you must avoid argument about the higher things. Sometimes it even means that you must remain silent and hear things proclaimed which you know to be untrue. If you must speak, speak the truth as you see it, absolutely and uncompromisingly. But you will find that it is seldom possible to convert those about you by talking. Learn to live the life yourself, to be serene and kindly, and do the work that comes to you with the swift mastery of the Spirit. Insist on manifesting the perfection of the Spirit in your body. Then you will have little need to labor with your friends. If the time has come for them to see the spiritual things that are all about them, they will see this transformation in your life and will begin to understand. And if the time has not come for them, all the sermons and the good advice in the world will avail nothing. For in the spiritual as in the physical world, there is a time for being born, and the first indication of the approach of that time is the awakening interest and desire of the individual himself. So speak the truth as it is given to you to speak it. When someone earnestly and sincerely asks you for advice, but do not go about seeking to make converts, for your vision of truth is as yet but a partial one. When that which is perfect is come, you will know when to speak and when to remain silent. Contradictory statements by those who are supposed to know by New Thought and metaphysical writers are often an occasion for stumbling to those who are a little insecure on their spiritual feet. Sometimes the same writer in different places seems to make contradictory statements. This fault is oftenest seen in writings extending over a period of years, when very often a theory that has been advanced will be retracted or so modified as to be practically a different statement. If the written words and thoughts of others are used as they should be, however, these faults need cause no uneasiness. For even the reported words of Jesus must be accepted subject to the interpretation of the Spirit working through your own consciousness. Never accept the authority of any teacher or prophet as an absolute and infallible statement of truth. Accept all that is good, all that agrees with the vision as it comes to you in the silence. And don't bother about the things that to you seem false. Remember that both your comprehension and that of the writer whose thoughts you are following is partial as yet, that neither of you are perfect lenses for the transmission of spiritual light. Read for inspiration. Key yourself to the spiritual vibrations by considering the thoughts of like-minded searchers after the way. But remember that God, speaking directly to you in your inner consciousness, is the only absolute authority in your life. And so this matter of contradictory writings will come to give you no concern. One difficulty connected with the direct control of the vitality or subconscious life in the tissues is often met with, "I can feel the vibration in my hands and feet very easily," I am often told, but when it comes to feeling them in other parts of my body, in my throat or in my lungs or head, for instance, where I may most need to direct them, I fail. The reason for this is that the hands and feet have so long been accustomed to the direct control of the conscious mind that they are in a measure prepared for an extension of this control. The work done in most other parts of your body you have always considered distinctively the business of a mysterious life force or vitality over which you have no control, and so you have not tried to control it. And now that you are beginning to experiment, you find that it takes time. And that is all there is to it. Time and patience and persistence will do this thing as they will do all else. The yogi comes to exercise a wonderful control over his body through this method of introspection, and you can certainly attain to the lesser control needed for perfecting the work of the subjective mind within your tissues if you are sufficiently in earnest. Have a regular time and place for this exercise, if possible. 15 minutes morning and night is enough, though more time may profitably be given to the attainment of a power which will be worth much more to you than the possession of Greek or Latin or French, which you would not expect to master with less work. Learn to relax and don't try to push on the lines. Growth is a matter of receptivity. The Spirit will permeate you and work through you if you let it. Strain and anxiety are out of place. One more comment is necessary concerning this matter of vibration. All parts of the body are not equally supplied with nerve channels and will not therefore give you the same sensation or tinkling or vibration. But the sensation is not necessary except as an indication that you have accomplished that quickening and increase in the life of the tissues which you desired. The regenerating life force often works without sensation of any kind, and it is only as an index to your success in directing this power that vibration is desirable. While I have emphasized the necessity of giving sufficient time regularly to formative and receptive prayer, it is possible in a way to give too much time to these things. You will find that your power of attention or concentration is like the muscles of a man who has never exercised. Your mind will soon waver, and if you persist after the symptoms of fatigue have become peremptory, you will gain nothing. One of the secrets of successful muscle building is to exercise wholeheartedly while you are at it, and then to quit. Likewise, in building up the power of concentration, which is the key to all mental and spiritual growth, you should attend unreservedly to the task in hand, and when your attention begins to waver and weaken, stop at once and turn to totally different work. Especially in dealing with the manifestations of disordered life called symptoms, you will need to pay careful attention to this warning. Do not get into the habit of trying to do the Spirit's work. It is your part to open your whole being to the reception of quickened life, regularly and earnestly. But it is not desirable that you should supervise the working of the Spirit within you between times. For this reason, it is often advisable for one who is annoyed or perhaps terrified by disease symptoms to busy himself with some engrossing work between the periods set aside for communion. Gradually, you will learn to take the spirit of prayer with you wherever you go, and so will come to pray without ceasing. And you will work all the more effectively because of this quickening spirit of love and regeneration. How long will it take me to get the results I want by spiritual methods? Someone asks. This is a question no one can answer, and to speak frankly, it is not your business. You will get results in any line more quickly by spiritual methods than any other. In fact, the only permanent and thoroughly satisfactory results must be attained in this way. But the times and seasons are not in your keeping, and the less you worry about them, the better. Somewhat depends upon your earnestness and faithfulness, but the whole matter is one of growth, and much of this growth is in the subconscious realm, where you cannot see it. This is one reason for the often repeated exhortation to ignore physical indications, symptoms, etc. The work is being done first in the invisible, cause world, and when the foundation is laid there, the physical superstructure will be swiftly raised. Your part is to learn to walk with God, to live in that impersonal serenity which begets and conserves power. The Spirit working in and through you will do the rest perfectly, so that looking back from the mountaintop, you will see that this time of tribulation through which you have passed was like the finger exercises which the young musician practices. All life advances fearlessly and perfectly if we live in harmony with the law of love and serenity. Do not strive to force the future's hand, for you have covenanted to live day by day as God leads you to live. And one day you will wake up to realize that the regeneration is already far advanced within you. End of chapter 6 of Direct Healing by Paul Ellsworth.